The sun was slowly melting into the Arabian horizon, painting the skies in gold and rose, as Sheikh Hamdan, Fazza, sat beneath the open skies with his journal in hand. The air was filled with the calmness of the evening breeze, yet his heart fluttered with emotions too deep for words. Tonight, he wasn't a prince, not a poet for the world, but a man deeply in love. He began to write softly, his pen gliding with the rhythm of his heartbeat. Age is just a number, but love, love is forever. Those words weren't mere poetry, they were the truth of his soul, the essence of what he believed in with every breath. He had often been questioned for following his heart instead of rules. They whispered about age, appearances, and expectations. But Fazza smiled, because real love doesn't ask for permission, it simply happens. He had fallen for a soul, not a statistic, for kindness, not youth. The woman he loved carried grace that time could never fade. Her eyes had seen more, felt more, loved more. And that depth made her more beautiful than anyone who lived only on the surface. To him, she was not older, she was timeless. When he looked at her, he didn't see years, he saw memories waiting to be made. Her laughter became his favorite melody, her wisdom his greatest peace. There was something magnetic in the way she carried herself, confident, gentle, radiant. The world might have seen her age, but Fazza saw her eternity. He loved how she didn't chase validation, how she walked through life with the quiet elegance of someone who had already found herself. In her, he found the calm after chaos, the stillness that poets spent lifetimes trying to describe. He remembered the first time she doubted his feelings. She had said, "Hamdan, I am older than you. One day, you'll regret this." He had smiled gently and replied, "The heart doesn't count years, it counts moments, and every moment with you feels eternal." It wasn't a line from a poem, it was his truth. For him, love wasn't about who fit the mold, but who completed the soul. The difference in their ages was merely a whisper against the roar of what they shared: faith, loyalty, laughter, and something far deeper, understanding. In his poems, he wrote of her eyes as stars that had seen lifetimes, of her voice as the melody that healed wounds he didn't know existed. She made him want to write forever, not because she inspired his words, but because she awakened his purpose. He wrote not to impress her, but to capture the feeling she gave him, the feeling of home. "You are my peace after storms," he once told her, and that's rarer than beauty. She smiled and called him a dreamer. But Fazza knew, dreamers often see truth more clearly than the rest. He often said that love isn't about the beginning, it's about the endurance. Youth fades, beauty shifts, but the soul remains. That's why he chose her. Because she had a heart that didn't age, a kindness that grew stronger with time. Her love wasn't impulsive, it was steady, patient, unconditional. And in that maturity, he found what most men spend a lifetime searching for: a forever that didn't demand to be perfect, only to be real. Fazza knew that many wouldn't understand. They would look at him and say he could have chosen anyone, someone younger, someone expected. But love isn't chosen, it chooses. It arrives like the desert wind, uninvited yet undeniable. And when it does, all logic fades before the force of destiny. "She is my destiny," Fazza would whisper to the night, "and age is just the shell that carries her soul. I fell for what time cannot touch." Every time she smiled, his world brightened. Every time she spoke, he felt seen, not as a prince, but as a man. She never loved him for the crown he wore, the fame he held, or the poems he wrote. She loved him for his silence, his simplicity, his kindness. That's why her love meant more. It wasn't.
The morning sun rose softly over the royal gardens, painting the world in hues of gold. Fazza stood by his balcony, gazing at the horizon where the desert met the sky. A soft smile curved on his lips as he thought of her, the woman who had changed everything he knew about love. She wasn't just someone he loved, she was the calm after every storm, the melody behind every verse, the peace he found in the chaos of his royal life. The thought of her steadied his soul. For him, age was not a measure of years, it was the language of experience, and she spoke it fluently, gracefully, beautifully. As he walked through the palace halls, the world around him felt lighter, quieter, as if the universe itself knew the sacredness of what he carried in his heart. Every poem he wrote now reflected her essence, her wisdom, her warmth, her compassion. He no longer wrote about fleeting beauty or fairy tale love. He wrote about love that endured, that aged like fine gold in the sun. In his verses, she was not a woman of years but a woman of depth, a soul carved by time yet untouched by sorrow. He realized then that love, when real, does not fade, it evolves, matures, and strengthens with every breath. When people spoke of their difference in age, Fazza would smile, not in defense but in gratitude. He knew most people would never understand. They would measure love with logic when love was never meant to be logical. Let them speak, he once said softly to her. Because while they count years, I count moments, and every moment with you feels infinite. Those words became another poem, one that melted the hearts of his readers, but few knew how real they were, how they came from the depths of a heart that had found its truth. He remembered a night under the stars when she asked him if he ever feared what the future might bring. He took her hands gently, looked into her eyes, and said, "When love is pure, the future only becomes a continuation of the present. You are my now, my tomorrow, and everything after that." She smiled then, her eyes glistening, and at that moment, time stood still. The stars seemed to bow in reverence to a love so genuine it needed no justification. Theirs wasn't a love that demanded understanding, it was a love that simply existed, unshaken, unchanging. As his fame grew, so did the eyes watching him. Yet, no matter where he traveled or what the world expected, he carried her in his heart. Her voice was his calm in crowds, her memory his peace in noise. He found himself quoting her words in interviews, her laughter echoing through his poems. She had become not just his muse but his compass, guiding him toward a love that was pure, grounded, and eternal. He often said to himself, "She's not older, she's wiser. She's not my past, she's my forever." Those words became the quiet anthem of his soul. There were moments when she would doubt her place in his royal world, wondering if she truly belonged beside him. But Fazza would pull her close and whisper, "You are not beside me, my love. You are within me."